Man, y'all about to make me cry in here, man.
Hey, man, let's get it.
I
Five,
ain't gonna do it.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, what's going on? It's your boy Marc Fazon. I want to welcome you to the LPC podcast, and I am the laid back on the LPC podcast. And if you enjoy barbershop talk, a little trash talking, a little hoop session talk, then this is the podcast for you. Tune in. Yeah. We're back with another episode of the LPC podcast. That's the laid back, the petty, and the crazy podcast. I am 130, your hosting team. That is Marc Fazon. Who we got else?
I go by comedian Silas.
And we always know this is Teddy, the comedian, your favorite comedian's favorite comedian.
I still don't like that.
Intros,
I really
man.
don't. I be feeling away. Like one of these days he gonna be walking to his car and I'm gonna rob him.
You gonna rob?
I'm gonna rob him.
You gonna rob me for some gas, nigga?
that's
I'm a
not
fart. Ain't nothing to rob me for. Give
Hey,
me my
man.
energy drink back. That's what I'm gonna say.
Listen, real talk. Chris Tucker's joke. Hey, if a nigga robbed me, that nigga practicing. That joke is still funny. 30 years later, that's a good bit. I can't
That's
even hate.
funny.
Yeah, that's a funny bit. So listen, we're getting closer and closer. The episodes are coming, and we're getting closer to Mother's Day. Mother's Day is right around the corner. Shout out to all the moms in the building.
Shout him out.
But something dawned on me the other day. Like I said, even before we got together as a crew, as a podcast team, we were ordained to be here. So like I said, I'm gonna get a little philosophical with you guys today. Every last one of us actually is without a mother. We all lost our moms, and we're gonna talk about that today. So in honor of Mother's Day. Teddy, since you like to use laughter as a coping mechanism about your mom, we're gonna have you talk about some real stuff. First and foremost, how long has it been since your mom passed?
My mother passed September 17th, 2012.
2012. How old were you?
I was 22.
22, young.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Silas, how old were you when your mom passed?
It was almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So
During COVID, I remember.
yeah, 43.
Mm-hmm.
She died on her birthday,
Yeah,
June 23rd.
that was tough. It was a beautiful funeral though, like for real.
Yeah, it was crazy because people was texting her happy birthday,
Mm.
and we had to say she just passed. That was
Oh wow.
that was a wild time, man.
I didn't
Wild
even
time.
know about all that. That does stick.
Yeah.
For me,
What about
my mom passed a week after I turned 25.
So y'all were younger, man.
Yeah. That like I said.
So how did that affect y'all? Being younger.
So for me, I had my little sister to lean on, and my big brother. I had I had a really good close knit. Like my little sister and I kind of came together. So today it's kind of bittersweet. Like I said, I wasn't even gonna talk about it, but now we here. Now we the emotions starting to flare. Today's actually my little sister's birthday. She passed 4 years ago during COVID.
Yeah.
So like I said, so for me, it's like I said, it's grief is one of those things that's just crazy. So I lost my grandmother in September, and while we're grieving for my grandmother, she passed. Alzheimer's. I'm like, okay, cool. I expected that.
Yeah.
I lost my little sister a month later. My little sister planned the funeral. She did all the stuff. Like my sister was the glue that held everybody together, and with her passing, it's crazy. Like my brother and my aunts, they not even talking right now. And my cousins,
They split up because your mom passing or your sister passing.
It happened after my sister's passing. It was something separate, but my sister would have been able to bring everybody together. Like I try, but
It's like my mom.
like I said, like that person and that family, that's that glue.
You
That's
don't
what
realize it either. You
Yeah.
don't realize that they hold it down.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you was 22, Teddy?
Was your mom that glue for your family?
So unfortunately, well, yeah, but my mother was the last bit of the family to pass.
Mm.
Yeah, she was it. Like I had an uncle after that, but he was in Tennessee. So yeah, it was very small, and I was adopted too.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So
I
you
did
know what
not
I'm
know
saying?
that.
Yeah, I was adopted. So unfortunately, the sad part, the hard part for me is me and my mother had the same birthday. So she adopted a boy on March.
wow.
We have the same birthday. So my birthday, I ain't really cared about.
I see, and that's the same for
Yeah.
me. Like I said, because my mom passed after my birthday, I kind of was like, I think this past year, my lady made a really big deal about my birthday, and that was the first time I had like a really big deal for the party. I'm like, okay, but prior to that, I'm like, nah, I don't really celebrate birthday because it never it felt so real. Like, when my mom passed, like I said, she had cancer, and her thing was, I think she was ready to go. She was tired. She had been fighting and everything. And what happened was I had to go out of town for work, and she was like, and I was like, man, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that trip. And she said, no, baby, go on, go. I'm like, no. She's like, no, I really want you to go. And I think she knew that she was going to throw in the towel.
They all
And,
know.
yeah, they know. Because I said, so in her mind, my big brother, he was in a healthy relationship. He had moved out finally. My sister was married. I was in a semi-healthy relationship at the time, and I was doing really good in my life. So everything that I could think of, she was like, "Oh, my kids are good. I'm good." Mm-hmm. One of my biggest flaws, or one of my biggest regrets, though, is I didn't start comedy before, because she never got to see what I became as a comedian, as a husband, as a father, some of these different things. Like, so she saw me as a dad, but I was young. I hadn't really hit my plateau of that. But that's one of my biggest regrets. Like, man, I wish I had started earlier. So what I want you guys to do is, if you guys feel comfortable, share one of your favorite memories or a funny story about your mom.
I just thought of something that just popped in my head.
Yeah, hit us with it.
I think I got my observational humor from my mom.
Okay.
My wife probably gonna kill me when I tell this story. But
Tell it
it's
anyways.
hilarious.
We're gonna cry together.
We had went over my in-laws' house. I think it was they were they were having the cookout, right? And my wife's grandma decided to cut her hair. Marc, you stupid, bro. I think I told
You told me,
this
so I
story.
can't look at you and listen to the story.
She
Okay.
cut her hair, right? And you know what I'm saying? She tried to shave the sides, bro, and just had the hair up top, but it was like nicks all in the head all around. So nobody's saying nothing. And my mom's kind of looking at me.
Yeah.
And I'm already thinking she's on it.
Yeah.
You know, like she's like, why ain't nobody saying nothing about this lady's hair? So we go outside. I'm walking her to her car. She said, why the hell she cut her hair like that? We bust out laughing.
Yeah.
But the funny part was I wasn't close into their family, like my wife's family like that,
Yeah.
until after her husband died, her grandpa, my
Right.
wife's grandpa. And she cut her hair, and they was all like, she cut her damn hair again. So I was like, oh, this is a little inside joke that they got. You know what I'm saying? This is something that they have.
You weren't privy to that information
But I
back
wasn't
then.
privy to it at the time. But I mean, I'm thinking it too. Like, why the hell she keep cutting her hair? But yeah, that's
Right. Why y'all ain't got the clippers yet? Why have y'all stole all the scissors from the
Why
house?
ain't you taking it from her? But yeah, I mean, that was one thing with her. My mom always
She peeped what was going
would see
on.
stuff like that,
Yeah.
or she would just do things that. I just one more story. I remember
go
at
ahead.
my daughter's first Christmas party.
You got a kid?
Yeah, I got a daughter.
I didn't know that.
Nigga, yeah, I got a 9. She about to be 9. She about to be 9 in July.
And she run that house.
Yeah. This nigga said
She had
you
a
got
soccer
kid.
game. That's why his legs out today.
Nah, she don't play soccer. She do
karate.
Yeah, she in
Oh,
karate.
she
Yeah.
working.
I'm trying to get her right.
Yeah, for sure.
Nah, like dang, I forgot the daggone
You said it was something about your
Oh no,
daughter.
it was her Christmas party, right? And they asked if anybody wanted to come up there and sing. And my mom jumped up there to sing, and she didn't know the words to the song. And she's singing off key, and she still, and man, I was laughing like a mug. She said, well, you'll always have this memory of me. So,
Core memory.
I will
just locked
watch.
in.
I watch the video and laugh every now and then. But
That's dope. That's real dope.
yeah, what about you, Teddy, man?
See,
what's
that's crazy because when your mom passed, you was 22.
Yeah.
It wasn't a whole lot of technology like that. Like there wasn't like a lot of recordings of that and everything, right?
Nah, it was that's when we was going from Blackberries to Sidekicks and stuff
Yeah,
like that back in
yeah.
2012.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my mom's memory with her was when she knew. She told me she knew when when I lost my virginity.
Oh yeah, moms be knowing.
She said you didn't wash your ass after. She said I smelled it, and I was so confused. So that was crazy, but
That's real life. Cause my mom,
Crazy.
she was. I mean, like when I say she was down to like the week, she knew. She's like, nah, you walk around here acting like you the man and stuff like that. I'm like, what you talking about? Like I'm confused. I'm like, Mom, what you talking about? She's like, nah, you out here having sex. I'm like, I said, girl, what you talking about? I'm a virgin.
See, I was a late bloomer, so
Yeah, I was a late bloomer
I was
too.
in college when
I was a junior in
I
high
was
school.
13.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
But we coming from a couple different times.
Yeah.
Like it was just, yeah.
It
But
was a little bit normal.
when, Mark, when you brought up that your mom didn't get to see you do comedy,
Mm-hmm.
I bombed my first show.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to my mama's house and telling her I was crying like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, so you mad? Because the first time you do comedy, you sucked. I was like, yes, ma'am. She was like, when's your next show? I was like, next week. She was like, all right, well, do the shit better. Now go get me something to eat.
Yeah.
That was what she said. That's
Yeah.
all, and that's all I needed.
Yep.
And I remember I was dating a young lady, and her mother asked me, what would your mom say about your comedy now?
Mm-hmm.
Because y'all have heard my jokes. They're
Right.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, my mother would say, I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but these people are laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that matters.
Yep.
And she would say that once he's off this stage, he's back to being my booter.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know comedy is a facade,
Yep. Facts.
and comedy is a character.
Mm-hmm.
She died on a Thursday. The funeral was that next Friday. I was back on stage a week and a half later.
Oh wow.
And I tried to do a set, including my mother.
I still haven't figured out a way to do it.
And I got through it. And at the end, I don't know what happened that I started crying, but I got a standing ovation because I started talking about when she would whoop my ass, and the whole crowd understood.
Because they can connect to that.
They can.
Like I tell people all the time, your best material is your truth.
Yep.
It's your truth.
Facts.
That's the vulnerability, and I tell people
You got to be
that's
vulnerable.
and I've always said that you have to be vulnerable on stage
Mm-hmm.
because it's a lie
Mm-hmm.
if it's not.
Right.
When we
Right,
don't-
you feel it. You feel it when,
Yeah.
like you could feel somebody's truth when you're watching them.
Mhm.
You're like, yeah, they really been.
They
through
really
that.
been
I
through
really
that,
yeah.
feel,
About
yeah,
something.
about what they're saying. Yeah,
They're talking about something.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know what? How I used to get through death was your mom. When your mom is here,
Mm-hmm.
you're in boot camp. You're in training camp. So
Right.
no matter if it's you live to 70 and she lives to 90,
Mm-hmm.
you're still in boot camp. And when she, like we were, when Mark, what you just said, that, she realized all her kids were good, she realized that boot camp is now over.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when she was like, it's time to go.
you know what's crazy? Like, I didn't think I was gonna do comedy again. With my
After your mom?
passed.
Me too.
Because me and my mom, like, I would talk to her about my jokes
Yeah.
every day. And I used to say it. I was like setting myself up. I used to say it like, man, if she go, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, when it happened, because my mom passed all of a sudden.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
It was just one of those, we talked to her the night before, like, Mom, what you doing for your birthday? Because I'm thinking, like, well, I got to plan something. I think it was like Tuesday. What's crazy about it was Father's Day weekend, which was right before her birthday. I think her birthday was like that Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just came from out of town from Virginia Beach. And she was like, I want you to come over. She had got me a card. Father's Day, she always would just, for Father's Day, she would pay for my tags or whatever. She would just give me the money to pay for my tags. Even though my birthday was in February, she was just like, I always would do this. And I had went over there. This is what I regret the most. I went over there after I went to go see my dad earlier that day, and I was over there for like maybe 2 hours. And my nephew wanted me to go fish with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept playing and playing, and I was like, well, I got to go to work tomorrow, and I'm a little tired. And she was like, I mean, if you want to go ahead and go. I did not know that was going to be the last time I was going to see her.
That's right.
2 days before. And I always regret that moment. Like, man, if I'd have known that was the last time, I
Right.
would have spend a whole lot more time with her, man.
But it's still never enough time.
Nah, it's not.
But see, but that's the thing. Like we
It's not.
always get like that. Like says going back to my sister. My sister was in a coma for like a week.
Mm-hmm.
She woke up and they sent me a picture, and I was like, oh wow, she made it through. We were thanking God and everything, and I didn't call her that night. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna call her tomorrow. Like I'm gonna let her rest. 2:00 in the morning, I get the call, and we go to the hospital, and she's gone. I'm like, man. So it's like. Cause I had,
you just don't really know.
You don't know, so that's
Really
why
don't
you take everything, everything you can't take anything for granted. So, one of my couple of my favorite memories are when I told my mom I wanted to be a stand-up comedian because she knew it was something I wanted to do. My mom looked me in my face with all seriousness and said, "She's like, I don't know why you ain't funny." And that that alone
That
was
motivated you?
No, that prevented me from doing stand up because I was like, man, if she don't believe in me, maybe I'm not funny.
Yeah.
That's something my dad would have said to me though.
But like I said, years later we had a conversation again, and she was like, I was a little bit older, I was like in my 20s then, and she's like, I don't know why you listen to me. She's like, I was playing with your goofy self. She's like, I ain't had you do nothing but do impersonations and make me laugh my whole life, your whole life. I said, why would you believe that? And I was like, yeah, that does make sense. But I felt like a dummy because I held off on doing it because I thought my number one supporter didn't support me. And like I said, that's one of the ones. Like I said, that's one of the ones. And then another one of my favorite memories of my mom is her birthday is January 12th. And on January 12th at 6:00 in the morning, my mom will call you. Hello? Hey, you know what today is, right? And then hang up. And then wait for you to call her and then act surprised. Like, oh my God, you remember my birthday? I'm like, nigga, you know what? This is low-key psychotic because you called me to tell me your birthday was today and then hung up and then waited for me to call you back. And like she would do that every year. She wanted, like I said, she was really big on birthdays. So she wanted to celebrate her birthday and she wanted to be celebrated. So that's one of the big things for me. Like I said, yeah, that's one of my favorite memories with my mom.
I tell people, you know, it's a time where a boy understands his mom is a real nigga, if I can say that.
Yep, no, that's real.
Like, and mine was when I went to college. I knew she was cool, but my mom was sick my senior year. She got sick when she had food poisoning at the Botillion. I was in the Botillion. And then magically, the 2 days before college starts, she's just back to her normal thing, but whatever. But she sits me down and she was like, listen, I see these little hoes running around. I was like, yeah. I do too.
I got my eyes on.
She was like, use condoms. Call me if you need me. And you know, your mom telling you to call, you like, bro, I ain't trying to call my mom. I'm like, bro.
That's the call you need
But
to make.
I remember this like yesterday. I went to a Q party. And the first time
of all parties, you had Omega Oil.
Is that what the juice?
Yep,
Q
Omega
juice?
Oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I remember I was in the middle of the dance floor. I couldn't hear. I was so drunk.
You see, I don't drink it.
Because
I know what's in it. I know what's in it.
I didn't know. So like I don't remember calling my mom. You know what I'm saying? I just in my mind, like I think I panicked because I was too drunk.
Right.
And so I called my mom, and that's the first time I think she heard me like cuss like that. But I think I was like, yo, you gotta effing come get me. Like I'm just fucked up. I just told her on some gangster shit, like, bro, I don't know. I can't hear. Like she said that I was talking and was like, I can't hear you, but I know you got me. So we stayed in the party for like another 2 hours. She was sitting outside talking to my aunt. You know what I'm saying? She was like, yo, they still in there. And my phone had died, actually.
Oh, wow.
Walk out. My mom's van is there. I was like, oh, shit. This looks like my mom's van. I said, this is crazy. Kept walking. You know what I'm saying?
So
and
you
all I
ain't
heard
even-
was booter.
You was lit.
Gone.
You was
He
lit.
was out there.
She, bro, picked me and my friends up, took us to Steak and Shake.
That's what's up.
Busted. I'm talking about busted.
But see, that's a core memory for you because you're going to always remember
Yeah.
that because,
Yeah.
like I said, she showed you another side of her. Like I said, I think a lot of time we forget that our parents are actual people.
Yeah.
And we like I always tell people, you have to allot grace because that's what you need and that's what you want. Your mom wasn't perfect. She made mistakes. She did the
Bunch
best
of
she
them.
could a lot of times.
Hell yeah.
But that's why you, like I said, you gotta, allot that grace.
But how they talk to us, like you got to think about it, like when you get older and their view on women, you know what I'm saying? It's like crazy. And some of the things, like all of us can sit back and be like, damn, my mama wasn't lying. No,
Yeah,
you know
she
what I'm saying?
kept it
Like,
real.
damn, you got to do this. Like, damn, you got to do that. And it's like back then, you like, mom, I don't know what you're talking about. That's kind of corny.
Yeah,
But now it's like,
She was right.
She didn't miss.
She didn't miss.
She ain't missed yet.
Nigga, she was out there Steph Curry on that.
Steph Curry. I was like, bro, this is crazy.
So you know what? That's a good point. Let's we talking about parents and everything. Let's talk about the pops. So Silas, you have a father who was active in your life.
Yeah.
Teddy, what about you? What was the situation with your pops like?
I saw my father get killed by a car and come see my first solo. So yeah, I lost my dad at 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was crossing the street. Him and my mother. My dad got hit by 2 cars.
Wow.
Yeah. But I saw him save my mama's life with his last bit of strength. He threw her out the way. The car was wrong, but unfortunately we couldn't sue because technically he was jaywalking.
Damn.
Man, that's rough.
Yeah. Technically he was jaywalking. And the city and the cops actually asked the people that hit him, did they want to file any charges? Because they weren't supposed to stand on that line. They was like, there's a man laying in the middle of the street because of me. Like, what the
That's
hell? So,
crazy.
you know, I tell people, like, I walked out and I saw it and I was like, yo, this is crazy. So yeah, I've been, you know, it's me by myself. When I talk about my brother, that's my best friend before my mama died. She called his parents. And you know how mothers just know. And she was like, hey, you know, I ain't gonna be here too much longer. I need y'all to take care of him. But you know, I tell people, like, you know, I've been awarded a lot of grace.
But I think that's part of your charm though, for real. Like I said, the people who, like I said, you go through something that type of testimony, it's building you up. So people are just drawn to you and stuff like that. I'm not gonna get biblical and stuff like that, but people are drawn to you.
Oh, we can, because I can. I can get biblical.
Listen,
I understand.
We're gonna have the conversation. Let's have it then. People are drawn to you because of that though, because like I said, because of the life you had, that type of just growing up with that type of stuff, man, it made you so much stronger than you had to be. So
and I didn't understand it.
You
like,
don't.
I don't get it. Like, I tell people, you know, some days, especially when I lost my job, well, I think it was more the girl. I cried out for my mother. Heavy.
Right.
I cried out for her. Screamed for her. Because I needed her.
Right.
Because I was angry and I was lost. And I think we all can agree, like, when you don't have your mom and you're going through something, like, you know, Silas, even though it was 3 years ago, maybe you and your wife maybe had a disagreement and you needed your mama.
Facts.
Because
a hug from her would have solved everything.
Or just talking to her.
Even if she would have sided with your wife,
I still would have been.
I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Listen, if heaven had visiting hours or a call, man, listen, I would collect call every day.
Every day, but you know what? It's like a football game. You know, they have to go be the coordinator. And there are people that there was a time that you should have got hit by a car. There's a time that you should have got shot. And your mom positioned you in another way. In tears, just let them know. I tell people, tears, when you cry, that is a signal, that is an alarm.
That's
to let
pain.
them know.
It's pain leaving the body, I think. So that's you hit the head on the nail on the head with that one, because like I know for a fact I'm not supposed to be here. Yeah, like there was shootouts. It was car situations. I was out at clubs and different things that I said I had no business being there. Like, cause like I said, I don't smoke, I don't drink, so I would just be at the party just awake, kicking it, and I would see the situation go left, and a voice in my head, but man, Mark, get up out of here.
Hey,
and that's one of the things I pride myself on. Like when I hear that voice,
intuition.
I listen. Like I said, I was at a party. They got the fighting inside the party. This dude pulled out a Uzi. This in the 90s too. So it's like 50 people running this way, but my house is across the street. I got to get around those 50 people. So if they pass me, I'm not gonna be able to get through. I'm gonna get trampled and I'm gonna be stuck out here just out and open. I never ran so fast in my life. I got past all those people. Like I got here, and then the people start passing up the street. I made it home, and it was like it never happened. Like I always tell people, like, if you grew up with a praying mom or a praying grandma, like I said, some of us should have been dead and gone. So they prayed a prayer for you that you didn't even know was being prayed. So that's why I said, so it's a lot of stuff that kind of goes into that. That's so real.
And your mom know if you a real one. Your mom knew you. If you listen, the first person, even though it ain't right, first person called me a hoe is my mama. First person. She was the first woman to call me a hoe for real.
I'm not saying she was right, but
no, she
close.
knew it.
She was
close.
pretty
saw
spot
it.
on with that.
My mama saw it in the choir, like when I was in the choir. She saw what I would do. Like I thought
She already knew what you was on.
Bro, I thought Sandy was not paying attention to me.
She knew what time it was.
She saw me looking in the audience, and she was just like, "Yo, you gotta chill sometimes. Like that don't look too good."
Yeah.
But I get what you.
You was on it like that.
Bro,
Listen,
there's
I ain't
nothing
gonna
that
hold
makes me
you.
hate hoes.
Some of
Just know that.
some of the baddest women go to church.
Facts.
There's
the baddest.
nothing that will ever make me hate hoes.
That's why I be saying, like
Not even AIDS.
the
You
men,
shouldn't though. But you
the men
shouldn't
versus
hate
women thing. That is such a
They
stupid thing.
gay.
I will never participate.
They
I'm
gay.
never gonna be like all women. Nope, not me. I be real quiet when they do that.
I will say this though, having a daughter, and Mark, you have a daughter now too.
It changes things.
Yeah, you're gonna soften up.
Yeah.
You'll see how when you deal with women, you're gonna deal with them completely differently.
Okay, so
Because
you know
you have a
what?
daughter.
You know that's a good segue. Teddy, do you want kids?
Hell yeah, I
You
do.
Okay.
But I want this dream though.
Okay. What's the dream?
But this dream is like the comedy dream is real,
Mhm.
but it's funny. And we're on slapstick comedy. Like I don't know if I'll be in comedy too much longer because of this mental health thing. I think my purpose is going to take me away
Or
from
you
that.
feel like it's changing.
It's changing.
Yeah.
Like my comedy is getting more serious.
Yep. You
and
might end up being a motivational speaker who
I
just
think-
who's comedic.
I can see that for you.
That's
I
what
really
think
can.
is
I can
about to
definitely see
happen.
that.
But what's crazy is this though. Like I said, I just saw something. Like I said, once you know your purpose, it changes everything.
And
Like,
that's where I'm at.
and like I said, once you understand it, you know why you're living and what you're living for. Because until then, you're just existing.
You're just existing.
And right now, you're in a season now where you're starting to like, hey, nah, this is
You know your
like,
You know your purpose.
Oh yeah,
What's
it's
your purpose?
it's to bring joy. Like literally,
Okay.
I can do comedy for the rest of my life. Like I said, what's the one thing you can do and not get paid for?
I can do
Masturbate.
comedy too.
And so,
Masturbate.
but that's like I said. My mom would say
I
that.
agree.
She's like Mark. She's like, you want to know what your purpose is? She said, what's the one thing you would do for free? And I was like, acting, comedy, stuff like that. She was like, okay. And not even knowing, she planted a seed in me to let me know that that's like I said, your purpose is just the one thing that you're just, hey, you would do for free.
Mm-hmm.
And like I always tell people, like they be like, well, Mark, you still get nervous? I'm like, heck yeah. I said, if you no longer get nervous, that means you're not
You don't care.
desiring.
You
don't
you
care.
don't
That's
you
what
don't
I-
care. You don't
Bro, I've
desire
been
to
saying
do
that
well.
for years,
Yeah.
bro. If
You
you
don't
ain't
care.
shaking, if your hands ain't sweaty, if you don't love the sound of the people getting in the chair, the DJ playing, the coming to the stage.
Yeah.
Y'all know what I'm about to bring up. Last week, somebody seen the lights was too bright. They left.
But we're not gonna talk.
I'll talk to you about that.
Well, no, I was there,
Yeah.
and I would just say this: like,
We don't
I
know
don't
if that
think,
brother had an anxiety attack. We
That's
don't know
what
what that
that's
situation
what I
think
think.
he had
That's
an
what I think
anxiety
happened.
attack.
That's exactly what
And
I
I
think
wasn't a
happened.
fan of one of the comedians putting it on Facebook.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't a fan of that because
Yeah.
you don't know that the set that he prepared,
Yeah.
and it was a complete. It was
Yeah.
an audible when he saw the audience.
Of course,
It was an audible.
And
That's
remember
what it was.
when we seen him, you could tell he was talking to himself, and
Yeah.
It threw him off.
It threw him
and I know when I was like, "You good, bro?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'm not," and he said it, but I didn't think he was going to.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
I didn't think he was.
But
gonna
see,
do
as a
what he did.
comic though, I'm rooting for every
Well, remember-
comic. So that's why I say. So even when a comic bombs, I hate to see it because it's like, hey man, no, I want every comic to win. So that's why I say like I'm never gonna be like I'm never rooting for a comic to do bad or to not kill. I want every comic to have that feeling, to know what that feel like. So I'm like, no, I can't.
I do too, but I secretly laugh when I do see comedians do bomb. No, and that's the
Nah,
pettiness in me.
That is definitely the
Because
petty.
sometimes I'm like, how did you do? Especially in a situation where it's set up for you to win.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did you do that? Now, I've been to some people's bombings, and I'm like, man, I felt bad.
But like I said, sometimes it's not your night. Like I said, I've had a night where it just wasn't my night.
yeah.
But like I said,
But that might not be a bomb.
that's not a bomb, right? Yeah. But a bomb is anytime you lose the audience, it's a bomb to me, though.
Nah, I don't think so. Because I don't think for that crowd, man, Kevin Hart would have got cooked.
That's what
Kevin Hart
I
would've
said
got
that.
cooked tonight.
I
That-
agree.
That crowd was, it's a lot of factors though as
Yeah.
to why that room. The show started too late.
Oh, I was exhausted.
It really wasn't properly
It wasn't.
It wasn't set up.
managed
It
as
was
far
set.
as getting everybody ready for a show.
Yeah.
Because I said
it was more of a vibe than the show.
Right, you have to set the atmosphere for comedy. That's why I be trying to tell people, like, when people book me for private gigs, and they're like, "Oh, we want you to perform while people eat," and I'm like, "Nah, don't do that. Don't have me perform.
Nah, man, let
either
them
have me
eat
perform,
first or let them eat afterwards."
Exactly, because I'm like, because they're gonna want to talk, they're gonna want to engage,
Yeah.
and if somebody mess around and choke on a chicken bone while I'm telling jokes. Now I'm getting sued because
Or you might think
passed
you
out.
killing
Oh
it.
no, I'm definitely gonna say, oh that's oh yeah, I made that old lady pass out.
nice.
Yeah, you
I'm
think
nice with
killing
this.
it. Yeah.
Hey,
Listen.
them jokes deadly. Nigga. Them jokes
I'm
deadly.
killing
Oh, I
literally.
killed.
At her funeral.
Hey,
Oh,
real
God.
talk. I did a show at where I did the show at. It was-
You gonna do the
no, I did a show
about
one.
the old man.
Oh God. Okay, so I'll tell that story too. Okay, so I did a private gig, and it was on a campground. It was like, it was nothing but like trailer parks and stuff like that. And I'm like, I pulled up. I'm like, nigga, I walk in. It's nothing but white people, and their age ranges like from like 7 to 76. It's all over the place. So there's no real demographic, and I'm the only speck of color that's from 40 miles probably. So I'm on stage and they pay me to do an hour.
Oh, I love an hour.
I'm like I said, I'm doing what I'm doing, but like I said, I do a couple of jokes that don't go over well. And a guy in the audience, like an older guy, he just does this. I'm like, dang, bro, like I know the joke was bad, but you can wait till you get back to your room to start jerking off and everything, whatever. I'm freestyling, I'm up there just trying to survive. Dude leaves. Like I said, nothing left. I get back, and then somebody yells out, "He got Parkinson's." I was like, "Nigga."
Yeah, Parkinson's.
Yeah.
So you want to go that'd be a crazy masturbation session,
Bro. But like, so I'm thinking he talking about, oh yeah, this dude's a jerking off, and nah, he couldn't help himself. He was just shaking.
But could you imagine jerking off with Parkinson's?
Hey, bro, listen.
That probably, bro, be tender as hell. It should be tender.
But you don't have no control over
That's
your
what I'm
grip.
saying.
So you wouldn't be able
That
to get
stroke
it
all
off.
over the place,
Yeah, you
man.
wouldn't be able to get it off.
Yeah.
That's wild. But yeah, like I
Your arm
said,
got Tourette's.
that was one of the, like I said, that was my first 1-star review that I got on a Gig Salad behind that show. Like it messed up my 5-star rating. I'm still
That's
salty
crazy.
about that. I can't do nothing about that.
You remember he did a show with us at the church.
Yeah,
And so that's what I'm that's what actually confused me
because
last Tuesday.
that was his best set.
He
I heard it was a
killed.
good set.
I
heard it was a.
I told everybody, I'm like, listen, I said that's the best I've ever seen him do. He murked that thing.
I heard.
And I was so
I
proud.
heard he did good.
And I tell people all the time, I said, but he grew up in the church, so that's his truth.
He probably don't wanna live that truth
He don't
yet.
want to be that comic. But
Yeah.
once again, that's an audience that he could kill at. He could make good money doing that. But once again, you see your favorite comic and you be like, oh, I want to be Patrice O'Neal. I want to be Kevin Hart. I want to be this. No, be you. There's only one you.
But it's I'm gonna say this. It's tough in the journey of trying to find yourself to be you.
Hell yeah.
Because I
That
started
first
off,
couple of years, that's what you're supposed to do. You're
well,
supposed
I
to find
started
you.
off rapping. You got to think.
Yep.
In my 20s, I used to rap a little bit. I know you looking.
Our engineer didn't even believe
This
you.
nigga's looking at me crazy right
Our
now.
engineer didn't even believe he rapped. She's like, this ain't you. Like he
But I
got
started
bars.
I started off rapping, trying to find myself because I like to put stories together, and I used to like write a little bit. And then
What was your rap name?
my same name, Silas. I just chose my middle name.
So
That's my middle name.
Silas is his middle name.
Yeah.
What's your first name?
I'm gonna give you my whole government so you can understand how I sound like I come from some money, but I don't.
Right.
My whole name is Isaac Silas Bridgeforth III. Yeah,
That nigga sound like he drink everything with his pinky in the air.
nigga. Yeah, I sound like I came in with a Harvard degree. Yeah, it sound crazy. I do a joke about it.
The third don't help.
Oh no!
I hate that y'all laughing at my name like that's for real though.
to bully you, nigga. Mr. Bridgeforth, put your penis away. I'm never calling you Silas again.
That's what's up.
You'll never.
That's what's
Coming to the stage, Mr. Bridgeforth III.
And I bet you were a chunky baby. And they said,
was.
"This is it. This
I
is
was. I was.
Oh,
I was.
oh my god!
I was, man.
Me should delete that line. 'Cause
Nah, keep it. That's my government.